Last year, I made a goal to surf every single month, which was going to be a bit difficult since I live 3.5 to 4 hours away from the ocean. I also had this goal in 2023, but didn't do so well on it. It can be hard to get down to the beach just due to wave conditions, weather, work commitments, personal commitments, and just feeling really tired and not wanting to drive that far and have it take up an entire weekend. But I felt like I did really good this year and I really progressed my surfing. I did do one lesson and then a women's surf camp as well in the UK on a weekend. I would really like to build my strength and my core to be able to surf for 1 week at a surf camp or something in the future, but we'll just take every month as it comes, I suppose. For progression, this year I was able to turn a lot better and look and concentrate on looking down the line when I pop up instead of looking at my board when I pop up, which is a really bad habit that I developed when I first started surfing, and it has stuck for years. I also got better at moving my feet around to balance the board. The year started off very poorly with this session in Delaware. I got smashed around a lot and did not catch any waves. They were all breaking on the shore, and soon after I retired Delaware from my list of places I like to surf. In February, I drove 4.5 hours to New Jersey, about south central New Jersey, to the infamous town of Seaside Heights. It was pretty quiet at this time of year, but the waves were kind of small the day I went, and then the next day they were monstrous. But I caught a couple waves and got to cross off Jersey on my states that I have surfed. In April, I went down to my favorite place to surf, Virginia Beach. It was still a little cold in the water, so I wore a 4-3 wetsuit with some gloves, and I didn't put sunscreen on soon enough before getting in the water, so then my skin got damaged, I got sunspots, and all that wonderful stuff. Gotta get that lasered off. But anyway, I was a bit frustrated because I was having some trouble catching waves. I used my foam board and everything, but it's good to get out and just practice and try to catch waves. I also concentrated on practicing my turns on the foam board. I guess it's not really pictured here, but was able to do it, so felt successful with that. In May, we visited New York City for a friend's birthday party, and I of course took that chance to go to the American Dream Mall and surf in their wave pool. This was my second time here. It is quite expensive. It's $250 for the intermediate session. Luckily, they still had openings for the beginner session, which is only $125, so I took that session. I will say that the surf instructors here were not too friendly. They were kind of cold, or maybe they were just hungover from the night before. That's also a good possibility. But they did advise me on how to properly wear my GoPro with the bite piece that I wear in my mouth for the POV surf sessions. So that was good. And I also was able to turn. I don't really like the waves in this wave pool too much. They're kind of weak. And then you get hit from behind with a secondary wave, which doesn't really happen in the ocean. It's kind of weird and hard to explain unless you've experienced it. I was also able to turn and avoid other surfers who are less advanced than me, which is not really saying much because I'm still a beginner, but I felt really good about being able to turn. I normally don't go out if there's other surfers near me because I'm afraid I'll hit them, so it felt really good to be able to turn properly. I was also able to transition to a 7-foot foam board, and that really boosted my confidence and showed me I'd be able to. But thinking back, I think I also surfed on a 7-foot board in the UK in 2023, and also the first time I surfed in this wave pool. In June, we traveled to the UK to Cornwall in the southwest corner of England, and I took a women's surf camp called Women and Waves. It's really in-depth. I really progressed my surfing quite a bit here. I was taking on green waves. I don't look very advanced here. I look like definitely a beginner, because the riptide was so strong. It was just pulling me. You can kind of see in some of these videos, but it was just pulling you along the coast. But I kind of tackled my fears of going onto bigger waves. The coaches had really in-depth surf analysis, video analysis after the sessions, and taught us how to read the waves better. I'll be going back for more sessions in the future. In July, I went to go visit my family in Washington State and surfed there for the first time. I had only boogie boarded before. I was able to rent a Jeep, park it on the beach, rent a wetsuit and a board. They were both pretty beat up. Got to park on the beach without a permit, and the waves here were so nice. You could just wade out and catch them, which really conserved my energy. This was the least frustrating surf session I've ever had. I also really concentrated on what I learned from the Women in Waves surf camp, and I looked down the line to the right instead of looking at my board when I pop up, and that way I was able to turn a lot more, and I feel like this was a really progressive surf session for me, and the waves were just so fun and easy. There were some crabs on the bottom of the ocean floor that chomped on my feet, but other than that, it was pretty fun, and I can't wait to go back here with my family. In August, I attended a women's surf camp that was about half a day long in Virginia Beach. I had signed up for this earlier in the year. They have these women's surf sessions about kind of every Friday in the summer, or they were supposed to at least, but due to wave conditions and different hurricanes and just raw sewage being dumped in the ocean right in front of where we were supposed to surf, a lot of the surf sessions got canceled, so this was the only one I made it to over the summer. I probably won't be going back. I would prefer to go to like a weekend surf camp like Women in Waves in the UK. These surf instructors here were super nice, and they're able to get us to catch some waves when it was a really small day, so that was good. There was only 3 of us in this session. I also tried out my new rocket surfboard, which is 7 feet long, and the instructors advised me to catch bigger waves with this. Of course, it is a little bit more wide than my 8-foot board, but it was super fun, and I was happy to be able to catch waves on it. In October, I quit my job and went surfing in Virginia Beach. I still haven't edited the footage from this, but I just caught some fun waves on my foam boards. In November, we traveled to Iceland, and I of course had to go surfing, so I rented a surfboard from Adventure Vikings. We drove to the south coast. This was a 7.6 big board, by the way. It was pretty cool. They also are the ones that make the mechanical pencils and pens. Anyway, I had my GoPro clipped like that with one of those gooseneck jaw clamps, which I'd done many times before when I traveled, and I had it clipped to the front of the board. When I caught a wave, the last wave I caught, which I only caught like 2 or 3, it ended up coming off and I lost it in the ocean. The sand was kind of black. You can't really see it right here, but it was pretty black, and so it was hard to see where the GoPro went. It had a floaty on it, an orange floaty, but I guess it didn't. I don't know if it got washed out to sea really quickly or what, but we couldn't find it because the water was just black. The surf leash also snapped off, which I've never had to happen before. It was super old. And so after that, I got kind of freaked out of the water because I didn't feel safe surfing without a surf leash. And also I was pretty disheartened at losing the GoPro. We searched for it for an hour, maybe a couple hours. Never found it. I will eventually go back to Iceland and redo my surfing experience there and catch a few more waves. The weekend after Thanksgiving, which was also the 1st of December, I went down to Virginia Beach, and I had the most cold session I've ever had, as well as the most progressive session. The wind temperature was the wind chills were probably 22 degrees, but the water was 60 degrees. Definitely should have worn gloves. Learned a lesson there. I warmed up using my 8-foot foam board, and then the waves were just really nice and small and peeling. And then I transitioned to trying out my 7.2 Surf Betty. It's fiberglass, it's a mid-size board. It was my first time ever riding it. I did manage to catch a few waves, by paddling and looking down the line and then popping up. My pop-ups were not great. I definitely need to move my foot further down the board, but I'm excited to tackle bigger waves with the Surf Betty mid-size board. So I ended up surfing 10 months out of 12 this year. I was surprised that I did that many. It didn't feel like it was that much, but I really feel like I've progressed my surfing again this year. So the last 2 years I've gotten more serious about my surfing and attending lessons and surf camps, everything like that. And I can't wait for what 2025 will bring for my surfing.